Imagine something you like to eat, your favorite food. Now, imagine yourself eating nothing but that favorite food for eternity. You have not experienced anything except that favorite food. You cannot imagine anything other than that favorite food at all. Would the food taste good to you? Now suddenly, a new element is introduced into your life. A shit burger. It is awful, terrible, disgusting. Now you know what is good and what is bad. You've eaten of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so to speak. As it turns out, that tree was a shit burger. The tree, simply a metaphor. And your experience of your favorite food has been given depth. You may even find that you crave a shit burger now and again, just to remind yourself that your favorite food is good. Is the shit burger bad, or should we be grateful for its existence? The existence of the opponent, the adversary, gives our existence richness and depth. An existence without the bad would be quite bland and tasteless. The thinking mind is constantly trying to understand, figure out, find the patterns in reality. It's how we have survived and thrived here, for better or worse. As we experience life, we collect more and more knowledge, and therefore it gets more and more complicated. This is not reality, though. This is the world of your mind. Thoughts happen in reality. That is undeniable. What thoughts are about is irrelevant when it comes to realizing your true nature or reality. So do you know anything for sure? No. Just a bunch of theories, the many of which your mind will try to convince you of certainty. As new information comes in, some of these theories change. What we once knew for certain is cast aside for a new certainty, and on it goes. We are not really paying attention to this. We just jump on board with the new certainty, forgetting all about the false certainty we just abandon and not appreciating that this new certainty can be toppled just as easily. It's like a salesman tries to convince you of a product's durability. You buy it, it breaks, you go back and she sells you the new indestructible product, and you buy it every time. Try observing your own thoughts, feelings, urges, but do so like you are a scientist or medical professional observing a subject or patient. This is hard to do because you are proud of your achievements and don't want to lose them. You fear anything challenging your self-image, so you must constantly maintain, reinforce, and defend it. It's hard to put down. It is so fragile. Let it break. Feel hurt, feel lost, feel insecure, feel sadness, feel fear. Resistance to these bad feelings is what keeps you trapped in the illusion. What if our worst fear is not failure, not rejection, not death, but freedom itself? Think about it. The freedom that is magical and whispers, "You can do everything. So now what will you choose?" It sounds thrilling, right? But let's be honest. It's terrifying too. It can be heavy and almost a recognition of the vastness of possibility, and we freeze. Some people run from it, but quietly, not in an obvious way. They run scripted routines, let other people decide on the big stuff, and slip into doing that. That's safer, I suppose. But here's the catch. It is still a choice to run from freedom. You can't escape it. Not choosing is a choice. That's the paradox we're all stuck in. When we fear freedom, it becomes a crossroads. And on a path, we embrace it. Messy, unpredictable, and full of possibilities. To the other, we shrink from it, and we hide behind rules and roles and the pretense that we aren't in control. It's not about monsters or villains. This isn't about freedom being denied. It's about people that won't take responsibility for their own lives because they think, "It's not my fault. That's just the way things are." Here's where it gets eerie. If you don't allow yourself to be free, you allow others to take it. They're all too happy to fill that void with a boss, a system, a belief, and they hand you the role and the script. It's a subtle surrender, but it's a powerful one. And the scariest part? You may not even realize that it went up. Imagine this. You're standing upon a vast open plain. Nothing but endless space, no map, no guide. What would you do? Would you act without a clue of where you're going? Or would you retreat, seeking walls, fences, someone telling you go this way? Those fences are illusions. Life is untamed. There is chaos, chance, and contradiction. That's what makes it alive, but that's what it is. Stepping into that freedom is to take that wildness and say, I don't know where this leads, but I'll walk it anyway. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be, but it's real. So ask yourself, are you living or are you just avoiding? Maybe freedom feels like a burden, but maybe it's also the only thing we are really actually allowed to have. What if our biggest fear is the king to all that we've ever desired? What if, in fact, we've known all along? Recognize what you're engaging in as if it's the contents that you're focusing on. Then your attention has been captured. Anything that grabs your attention now can manipulate or influence your energy, so if you don't want your energy to be misused, be mindful of what you're giving your attention to by what you're engaging in. It's like complaining about the story of a movie. How did you get to that point of watching a movie? You can ask yourself, how did I get myself into this mess? And proceed to trace the choices you made prior to engaging in the activity. An action doesn't occur without an initial desire and intention. So identify what your intentions and desires are to not sleepwalk into activities. The more conscious and present you are, the more you're choosing what to engage in, because you're more mindful of what you're giving your time and energy to. If you spend your energy on all the things you don't prefer, imagine how different your experiences would be if you shifted your focus and energy to what you do prefer. Another way of looking at it is to have desires, but not need them. So it's okay to want, but not have your state of being dependent on it, which would make it conditional rather than unconditional. True peace and happiness is unconditional, and true freedom is independence. If your peace and happiness is dependent on something, then you'll always be in a disempowered state, as dependency is perpetuating incompleteness. When everything is viewed as optional or a bonus, then it's perceived as a glass half full instead of half empty. Abundance and lack are simply perspectives or mindsets to which anything can be viewed. They are both true when looking at it from that particular point of view. Since perspectives or mindsets aren't fixed, you're always free to shift, to see it differently, which will change your perceptions. Seeing the bigger picture is zooming out to recognize all children of God. Many people interpret the phrase children of God literally, which often leads to confusion and anguish, as it implies a sort of hierarchy in which you definitely is not on top. It implies that someone is watching, judging, and condemning our actions, thoughts, and feelings. But is a leaf the child of the tree, or is the leaf the tree itself in the form of a leaf? In Christian scripture, the word child is a metaphor, much like tree and leaf in this example. These metaphors point to a deeper truth that is difficult to express otherwise. A child is an expression of the parents, just as a leaf is an expression of the tree, and we are an expression of God. I wonder then, if all is one in God, who is the judge and who is the judged? Who is the lover and who is the loved? At the very deepest level, you are all that ever has existed and all that will ever exist. You are both the judge and the judged, the lover and the loved. So if we stop judging, we will no longer be judged. If we start loving each other, we will also be loved. What if there's something beyond the world as we know it? The layers underneath, not just the obvious stuff, the trees, the sky, the faces all around us. Felt things that you can't touch or prove, but you know they exist. What if everyone has an inner eye, can see the unseen, but we just don't open our eyes? Magic tricks, superpowers. This is not about that. It's about learning how to see differently, how to change how you see the world. Start with this. Close your eyes. Listen. You notice the hum of the world around you, somewhere from far away. Traffic, a heartbeat. They're there, but you don't see those things. You're past the obvious already. Where the noise ends, our inner vision starts. The problem is, we're too distracted to notice it. We scroll, we rush, we drown in conversations and to-do lists. Then what if you just stopped for a brief moment and let the silence in? It wasn't the silence outside, it was the silence inside. That is where the invisible first starts to show itself. Wake up your inner vision with this simple practice. Place your index and middle finger between your eyebrows, which have your nose bridge and forehead in that area. That point is often referred to as the third eye, the entranceway to looking past the surface. And then start to massage the area in little tiny circles with your hands and eyes closed. While you do this, take deep breaths. Hold 4, exhale for 6, inhale for 4. Fingers strain against your skin, a warmth inside building beneath your hand. It is like imagining a light, soft at first, and then getting brighter there. Don't try to force anything, you're just letting yourself tune in. Try to pay attention to what comes up. It may be an emotion, a recollection, or just a quiet. It might take a while for something to happen, and that's fine too. Instant answers. It's not about that. It's about opening the door. Do 10 minutes of practice, then set your hands and sit with whatever shows up. Listen to your gut, that achy pull in your chest when something seems right or wrong. That is, a flash of some idea or a memory that seems not to have come from anywhere. These things are so easy to dismiss and explain away. But what if they're signals? Tiny threads tying you to something else, something out of sight to you. The trick isn't forcing it. You can't make someone who's invisible to you visible. It doesn't work like that. It's all about softening your gaze and your mind. Staring into the night sky, not for a specific star, but for the whole expanse of it. As you lay there, as you relax and stop trying so hard, the shapes begin to come. You don't have to meditate if it calls to you. Headphones greatly diminish the state of mind of traveling. Let's go for a walk. Watch the rain if you sit by a window. Don't be in a hurry to get an answer to a question you ask yourself. How am I missing this? What's off the table here? The answers won't scream at you, they'll mumble. You have to be still enough to hear them. Then the invisible looks like a gut feeling. Sometimes it's a pattern you see for the very first time. A stranger's words, a song on the radio, a dream too hard to shake it out of your head. Coincidence? Maybe. But what if it's not? What if these are breadcrumbs, tiny signs of where to go? So, slow down, breathe, be curious. Always waiting, the invisible. And all you have to do is to say yes.